I was raised in the Midwest and I played football, never any good, but hey man, you're in the middle of Iowa. What else are you going to do? And it was very interesting to watch how the coaches would settle disputes between the players. If you had two players that were beefing, you'd circle everybody up and then you'd run Oklahomas against the two guys. And they just hit each other until the problems were solved, until the score was settled, until the beef was over. And I think that's actually what's happening in the Middle East right now between Iran and America. Is we're getting out the final Oklahoma drills as America and Iran both fought each other last night, but the ceasefire is still there. We're still on the same team. American drones were blown out of the sky and an F-35 was shot at. Some new Iranian boats are at the bottom of the ocean. Apparently 3 or 4 Iranian soldiers are dead after skirmishes last night in the lead up to a peace agreement. A peace agreement is still technically on because, well, the markets are still rip-roaring as they have opened today, almost up a point. And oil has crashed again. Look at this. For Brent crude financials, $86 a barrel. Just a reminder that $65 a barrel equals $2 gasoline in the vast majority of states in America. And so this is exactly where you want things to be headed. You can see here on the Brent crude oil charting right here, $65 a barrel. This was $2 gasoline just December 2nd, 2025. This, no good. But it is spiking downward significantly as President Trump has announced the framework for a peace deal. And now we know that there's a lot more going on. America is about to release billions of dollars worth of funds to Iranians whose delegation is in Qatar right now. And while the skirmishing is still going on social media, right, the Mojtabi Khomeini is popping off from whatever bunker or, I don't know, cardboard holding cell that he's in. Nobody knows about this guy. Nobody's ever seen him. It seems that everything is progressing quite nicely. And actually, we have more information that may show that things are about to happen in America. Let's go ahead and look here. This was from last night. Presidential level flight restrictions are now in place over Camp David on Wednesday morning. Camp David, not often used by the president. Camp David out in the middle of rural Maryland as the famous presidential retreat, but also a place where presidents sign peace agreements and have signed peace agreements for a very long time. The Camp David Accords, for instance, is a historic location where there was Arab peace created. It worked out great in 1978. That was definitely long lasting. Well done, Jimmy Carter. But anyway, the point is that Camp David is a historic location. Donald Trump does not use it often. This is a TFR, a temporary flight restriction is what that stands for. And it is for Wednesday morning for VIP movement. Now, of course, the FAA only has a few VIPs, right? And it's not George Clooney. He doesn't get these, right? It's not sports figures. They don't get these. The temporary flight restrictions are only for people inside of the American government that are in the chain of command, the chain of succession, and that are in the executive branch or in the extended executive branch. For instance, if you're sending a delegation somewhere to act on behalf of the president, they get these depending on where you're going. But of course, no airplane is allowed to be anywhere near where the president is traveling. So you can't ever fly beside Air Force One. They won't allow it, right? Air Force One's path, Marine One's path, which you would probably take like the Marine helicopters, the green ones that take off from the White House. You would take that here. Those paths are clear. And what you can see here is that the clearing path is from Washington, D.C. out from Washington, D.C. up to Frederick, Maryland, where Camp David is. Are they preparing for a peace summit with Iran on May 27th? That would be tomorrow. Also my birthday, which would be an amazing birthday present, to be perfectly honest with you. And they're saying that this is going to last for multiple hours, which is, by the way, a very long, it's almost 5 hours this is going to be. Are they giving away the ghost here? Are they telling you that Trump is about to sign a peace agreement with Iran? So here I am on the FAA.gov. You can go look and search this yourself. So FAA, Federal Aviation Administration.gov, TFR map. So temporary flight restriction map. You can see here that in Maryland, there are actually a number of brand new flight restrictions here in Maryland. They're effectively restricting all day. So this is huge. I don't know, man. Here we go. Here's a TFR for Maryland. And then here's a TFR maybe for New York, perhaps. So Jamaica, New York. This is, I mean, did we just crack the code here? So if they're flying in from Jamaica, New York, what that is JFK. That's the large international terminal at JFK. Is someone from Iran flying in there? Is there going to be a peace accord that's going to happen here? And then you have Thurmont, Maryland. This is, of course, where Camp David is. Thurmont, Maryland, Thurmont, Maryland, Thurmont, Maryland. Look at all these TFRs for VIP travel. And then there's one right after it from Jamaica, New York, where the largest international terminal in the world is. This is JFK Airport in New York City. Of course, where you would be flying in if you were flying in from the Middle East. The vast majority of flights land there. Very interesting. So you can see TFR here for VIP movement. Temporary flight restrictions for VIP movement. So they've blocked out the entire day. Look at that. 4-hour blocks. So you have 30 nautical miles all around. So, 30 nautical miles. I mean, that is a huge flight restriction space. Altitude from the surface up to 18,000 feet. So you're not allowed to go anywhere near. This is a huge radius, and it's military radius, saying that no aircraft are allowed. This is very interesting. So it's funny how you can see these kind of things ahead of time. So here it is for Maryland. We're going to go through this. So we have Maryland, temporary flight restriction. 1. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. That's going all day for VIP movements. That's all day. Very, very fascinating. And that's for Camp David. So does that mean that there's going to be a big peace accord? I don't know. I mean, they blocked off the entire day at Camp David for VIP movements, special airspace for Wednesday. Uh-oh. Notable because Trump notoriously never uses Camp David. Is this some sort of peace talks? Wednesday morning, too early to tell the event, but midweek is noteworthy. In the past, this has been used for signing agreements that are national security related relocation. That's right. The president can also use Camp David if they're like going to war. FAA issued temporary flight restrictions or Camp David. These restrictions temporarily limit all aircraft in the area, usually for VIP movements, but it's not like the Secretary of Commerce. It's for the president. They're shutting down all of the airspace. So overnight, what did we learn about the war in Iran?
Along with a surface-to-air. Hey guys, good morning. Overnight, the United States conducted airstrikes against southern Iran near the Strait of Hormuz. CENTCOM says these strikes were defensive in nature and went after mine-laying vessels along with a surface-to-air missile position. These were the first U.S. strikes that have targeted Iran since early May. A spokesperson for Iran's armed forces said any new aggression will be met with a far more severe response. The strikes come amid the backdrop of ongoing diplomatic efforts to reach an agreement between Iran and the United States. Overnight, President Trump laid out a condition that he has, saying on Truth Social, the enriched uranium nuclear dust will either be immediately turned over to the United States to be brought home and destroyed, or preferably in conjunction and coordination with the Islamic Republic of Iran, destroyed in place or at another acceptable location with the Atomic Energy Commission or its equivalent being witness to this process and event. Thank you for your attention to this matter. The other key issue has to do with the Strait of Hormuz. Secretary of State Marco Rubio reiterated the Trump administration position on this critical waterway during a gaggle today.
The straits have to be open. They're going to be open one way or the other. So they need to be open. What's happening there is unlawful. It's illegal. It's unsustainable for the world. It's unacceptable. That cannot happen. The straits need to be open, unimpeded, without tolls. And obviously that needs to happen immediately as soon as anything.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see what happens next. Israel, of course, has declared war on Lebanon and on Hezbollah. Secretary Rubio departing New Delhi. Obviously, you have some major commentary from Rubio on this war and on other wars coming to an end. We've often said that they'll probably use this as an opportunity to pit Russia and Ukraine into a peace agreement as well. Camp David, Trump sought the mantle of history. Afghanistan is different. So Trump's tried to use Camp David before. The venue, facility, and the mountains of Maryland, 70 miles northwest Washington, D.C., has been associated with U.S. presidents and peace agreements. The peace agreement known as the Camp David Accords was negotiated there by Jimmy Carter and presented Israel and Egypt in 1978. 6 months later at the White House, even today, speaking of those accords, Camp David-style negotiations is a power summit hope. Again, you can see here. Actually, this was between Egypt and Israel, and the two of them don't often pop off like at all. So maybe this didn't work out. We hope that it works out. We are hoping for peace. We are praying for peace. We know there's been a massive military buildup, and we know there's been some major skirmishes. But maybe they're just doing Oklahoma drills, just getting it out of the system. That would be amazing, ladies and gentlemen. Watch out this Wednesday. Why do you tune in? Because we pay attention to these things. We are autistic, and we are pattern recognizers and noticers. Okay, we'll see what happens. It's your boy Benny. Pray for peace.